Superman Unchained number 3, written by Scott Snyder, art by Jim Lee, with the epilogues art by Dustin Nguyen. So, last issue, we had Superman meet up with this big old dude who basically stopped an attack on him, and then Lois Lane's plane started falling out of the sky, and Lex Luthor... I don't even know what's going on with Lex Luthor, I'll be honest, because there's this whole thing of him escaping from jail, and it seems like the way the story ended, and I had to reread this because this issue got me so confused, is that he is basically, he made a recording that is piloting a mech of his own body because it's otherwise knocked out. And the recording is just so damn smart, and he plans so far ahead that it's just able to do these things. I think that's what's happening. But regardless, we get into the story. Utah desert, 1938. World War II's on the horizon. The U.S. government's like, we sent a signal out into space asking for help. And then 11 seconds later, a spaceship showed up. So we get a recap of everything, the Lois plot, the Lex plot, and we end up on the Superman plot, where the big dude who got in the way of Superman's thing, he's like, hey, everyone, hold your fire. Superman's down. And Superman's like, who the heck are you? And he starts to explain who he is. But then General Lane steps up and is like, don't tell him. He's the enemy. What are you doing? And Superman's like, General Lane, tell me what's going on here. You owe me that much. And Lane's like, I don't know, you crap. Ready the sonic weapon. And Superman breaks it. And he's like, ready the other sonic weapon. And Superman goes to break that one too. But then this big guy gets in the way. And he's like, Superman, I need you to stand down. And he's like, okay. He just grabbed my fist out of midair. This guy's clearly strong. Let's see if he's fast. And he tries to super speed another punch, and the guy blocks that punch as well. He's like, seriously, stop testing me. These people, they just want to see you stand down. I don't want to hurt you. This is just do it. And Superman, the guy ends up proving his strength by kicking Superman clear across all of Utah, which is an impressive sight. And as he lands, the other guy shows up and he's like, hey, look, we can stop fighting now. Those guys are far, far away. I gave the general what he wanted. I know you have questions about me. And Superman's like, what the hell is going on? And he's like, fair enough. You want to come to my house? You want to just check that out? And he's like, okay. So then we go to Lois. Her plane is falling out of the sky. She takes over the pilot seat from the actual pilots. Because if you remember, there's this whole terrorist group called Ascension that's anti-technology or some crap. I don't know. But regardless, Lois is like, hey, we need to aim for the power lines because otherwise we're going to crash in the ocean. And they're like, why would we aim for the power lines? And it's like, well, if we land out in the ocean with all of our electronics gone, nobody's even going to know we're out there and we're going to definitely die. But if we hit the power lines, then they're going to send a rescue crew and there's a chance that we might get noticed. So let's do that. So she hits the power lines, she crashes into the ocean, and we pause for a moment as we cut back to the backstory of what happened after that ship showed up in 1938, where apparently the thing that was sent out into space was an equation, but it was purposely wrong. It was 1 + 1 = 3. So it was trying to get across the point of, hey, let's join together and become larger than the sum of our parts. And the ship that landed had its own mathematical formula, which was a hell of a lot more complex. And when it opened up, inside was this dude. And I cannot express to you that this dude is just a giant gray, dark side looking guy with what appears to be a falcon on his chest, but it's all energy. So anyway, the person explaining this whole story is General Lane, and he says, and now you're in this place underneath the salt flats, 800 feet underground. This is called the Machine. And Superman's like, how in the hell did you manage to keep this from me? And he's like, well, we were doing a very good job at that until this idiot showed it. And the big gray guy, who in 3 panels time, he reveals his name is Wraith, which we'll get to. Wraith is like, well, Superman would have found out eventually. It's better we do it on our terms. Anyway, I want you to consider me a friend, Superman, because I have fought alongside you, even if you didn't know about it. And Superman's like, okay, well, explain to me who this guy is. And Wraith explains, my name is Wraith. It's an acronym, an initialism. It stands for William Rudolph's Ace in the Hole. And that's because 75 years ago, when he first landed, General Rudolph was the one who basically turned him into a soldier for America. And so he was allowed to live here in this secret underground base called the Machine. And they were saying, yeah, no, this thing has been used ever since then. We've been using it. We're basically completely clandestine. The president gives us info, but then we just run with it and we're allowed to make our own decisions. Turns out there was only one atomic bomb, and Wraith here was the one that convinced Japan that we had two. So that's a thing, and a whole bunch of other stuff that comes up. And Superman's like, so you're fighting your own private wars without the people knowing about it. And Adrenaline points to a map, and he's like, here's all the danger spots in 1938. And it's just overload with red. And he's like, and here's it today. And it's super small. And he's like, this is what we do. We've made the world safer. We actually shut this place down and had to turn it back on like 6-7 years ago because all you stupid superheroes started showing up and making the world more dangerous again. And Superman's like, well, it may be for the greater good, but the public, and generally just goes off. He's like, the public, of course, the public. Superman, let me tell you exactly what your problem is. You could be out there toppling dictators and saving lives, but instead you let those people die because the only thing you actually care about in the end is the public noticing all your great deeds. That's why you save cats from trees and you make sure that airplanes don't crash. It's because those things will let people clap for you. You don't actually make the hard choices to take down dictators and go in and save lives through proactive means like that. Superman's like, well, I don't have to take this. So at that point, there's a whole bunch of hubbub around the machine, and turns out that Ascension has launched an attack on Tokyo with a fleet of like attack drones that they've taken over, and Superman's like, well, that sounds like a job for me, and I guess Wraith here. You coming? And Wraith's like, yeah, I'm in, let's go. So they both fly out. We see Lex Luthor climbing his way out of his like a waterfall with his machine thing, and it just says, that's it, old shell, move up to, we've got a special visit to pay someone and we don't want to be late. I can't tell if this is still Lex. Like it's confusing to me. So anyway, back to Lois. She's her airplane is drowning in the ocean. She's trying to break open the glass on the windows. It's no use. It looks like she's going to drown, and then all of a sudden, her airplane starts back up again and pops up out of the water. And Lois is like, it's a miracle. That shouldn't have happened at all. What's going on? And as she looks outside, she sees the blinded guy with the crystal from last issue is using his crystal to save her. So anyway, we arrive in Tokyo. Wraith and Superman both see the carnage, the destruction happening. They move down, and Wraith is like, Superman, I've really been looking forward to working with you. It's really a shame that I'm going to have to kill you soon. And Superman's like, I'm sorry, what? That's the end of the issue. But then we get the epilogue. Jimmy Olsen's trying to get some Chinese food after they closed, and as he's looking in his fridge, he sees a shadow on the wall. He thinks it's Superman. Turns out it's Lex Luthor, and Lex is like, hey, Jimmy, you've been Superman's pal for a while. Now you're going to be my pal. So that's that. I like the idea. I like it because obviously this book was made for the purpose of the 75th anniversary of Superman. So having it be like, okay, if Superman didn't exist back in 1938, which in this continuity he did not, how can we have that? Like, what can we do? And so they basically made another Superman, and they're going to have this battle between the two. So I'm interested. I think it's an interesting enough plot, especially because Wraith seems a bit more complicated than I think I gave him credit for when I first saw him last issue, or even in the first issue when he made his little cameo. I think that it's interesting that he is so much of idolizing Superman, or maybe not idolizing is the wrong word, admiring him, but he still, no matter what, puts his country of America, even though he's an alien, he still puts America over top. It kind of shows the evolution of where Superman used to stand for truth, justice in the American way, and now he stands for truth, justice, and whatever third thing the writers want to fill in. So I don't know. I'm interested in the way this is going to go. We'll see. It's 9 issues in total, so we're a third of the way done. First act is wrapping up now. I'm interested at the very least. So I'll give this one, I'll give it a solid 8. I really did. I enjoyed the writing and I enjoyed the art. So when it comes down to this issue, I really don't have that much to complain about. It's all about how we're going to pay it off in the future.